Hey everyone, welcome back to Solomon's Treasury. You've probably noticed something interesting about the world of business. There are people who seem to have a Midas touch. Everything they start turns into gold. And for centuries, people have looked at the Jewish community and wondered, what's the secret sauce? Is it luck? Is it just hard work? Well, it's actually much deeper than that. It's a blueprint. We're talking about a set of principles that have been passed down for over 3,000 years. These aren't just tips you find in a modern business book. These are commandments for life and prosperity. Today we're peeling back the curtain on why this community has consistently stayed at the top of the economic food chain, regardless of where they are in the world. This isn't about being exclusive. It's about universal wisdom that anyone, and I mean anyone, can apply to their own life to start seeing real, tangible results. So, grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's talk about how you can start thinking like a mogul. The first thing you have to understand about the Jewish approach to success is the radical level of responsibility they take. Let's get real for a second. Life isn't always fair. History shows us that this community has faced some of the most intense challenges you could imagine, from the systemic struggles of the past to the horrors of the Holocaust. But here's the game changer. When they left those situations and moved to different corners of the globe, they didn't carry a chip on their shoulder. They didn't spend their energy blaming other groups, other races, or the government for their problems. If you want to build a treasury like Solomon's, you have to leave the past in the past. Blame is like a poison that keeps you stuck in a victim mindset, and a victim can never be a victor in business. Instead of looking back with bitterness, the focus is always on building forward with hope and positivity. It's about saying, whatever happened yesterday is done. What am I building today? This shift in energy is why you see such incredible resilience. When you stop looking for someone to blame, you start looking for solutions. And in the world of business, the person who finds the best solutions is the one who gets the biggest paycheck. Now let's talk about your benchmark. Most people in the world are just trying to get by. They want enough money to pay the bills, maybe a little extra for a vacation, and that's it. But in the Jewish tradition, the benchmark for success isn't just survival, it's abundance. And why abundance? Because the standard is set by something much higher. When you look at the concept of the divine, you're looking at something unlimited. So, if you're approaching business or wealth creation, why would you aim for just enough? Aiming for abundance means you're not just looking out for yourself. You're looking to create enough wealth to support your family, your community, and the causes you care about. It's a completely different way of seeing the world. Instead of a scarcity mindset, where you think there's only one pie and everyone is fighting for a slice, you adopt an abundance mindset, where you realize you can just bake more pies. When your goal is abundance, your brain starts looking for bigger opportunities, higher level connections, and more creative ways to add value. It's about playing the game at a level most people haven't even dreamed of yet. If you're enjoying these insights so far and want to keep building your own treasury of knowledge, make sure to follow the channel so you don't miss the rest of this blueprint. One of the most powerful things about the Jewish community's success is how they handle the next generation. There's a very famous tradition that might sound a bit intense at first, but hear me out. It says that if a parent doesn't teach their child how to make a living or a trade, it's basically like they're teaching them how to be a thief. Think about that for a second. Why? Because if a kid grows up and doesn't have the skills to put food on the table, what's their only other option? They're going to have to take from someone else. So, in this culture, teaching money management and business skills isn't just extra credit, it's a moral duty. It's about giving your children the tools to be independent and honorable. Instead of just leaving them a pile of money which can disappear in a generation, they leave them a mental toolbox of how the world works. They talk about business at the dinner table, They involve the kids in the process. It's about building a legacy of self-reliance so that the family tree stays strong and wealthy for centuries, not just a few years. You've probably heard the word kosher when it comes to food, but did you know it applies to business too? This is a huge secret to their longevity. The rule is simple. The business has to be kosher, meaning ethical and clean, and it has to make a lot of money. You're not going to find many Orthodox Jewish people running businesses like strip clubs or anything in the dirty industries. Why? Because the goal is to bring a higher purpose into everything you do. They believe that if you can't sleep well at night because of how you made your money, then that money isn't really a blessing. It's about clean wealth. But here's the kicker. It's not enough for the business to just be nice or helpful. It actually has to be profitable. They don't waste time on hobbies that don't pay. They look for that sweet spot where they can provide a valuable, ethical service that also generates massive returns. This keeps their reputation solid, and in the business world, your reputation is your most valuable currency. This is one of the most interesting parts of the whole blueprint. Historically, there's been a huge push within the community to work for yourself rather than for someone else. There's even a story from the ancient texts about someone who chose to remain a slave after they were supposed to be set free. As a symbolic punishment, they had a nail put through their ear. Why? Because the idea is that a person should only be a servant to the divine, not to another human being. This creates a culture of entrepreneurs. When you work for yourself, you're in a position to receive infinite blessing because you aren't capped by a salary or a boss's opinion of you. You own your time, you own your decisions, and you own your growth. While the rest of the world is taught to be good employees and climb a ladder that someone else built, this blueprint teaches you to build your own ladder. It's about freedom. It's about realizing that you were meant for more than just a cubicle and a 9-to-5. Wait until you hear about how the community hacks the system by working together. It's a strategy that can turn a small business into an empire almost overnight. But before we get to that, I have a question for you. If you could start any business today that was both clean and highly profitable, what would it be? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see your ideas. One of the biggest advantages you'll see in the Jewish business world is the power of community support. It's like a built-in insurance policy and a growth engine all in one. Think about it. If you have a contract to award, maybe you need a lawyer, an accountant, or someone to paint your office. Who do you go to? Most people just look for the cheapest option online. But in this blueprint, the first choice is always someone within the community. It's like a family. They believe in supporting each other because they know that if they help their neighbor succeed, that neighbor is going to have more money to spend back in the community. It creates a circle of wealth that never leaves. Imagine if your local neighborhood worked like this. Imagine if your next-door neighbor gave you the first shot at every business opportunity they had before they even looked at anyone else. You'd be light years ahead of where you are now, right? This isn't about being exclusive. It's about understanding that loyalty builds empires. When you support your tribe supports you, and suddenly you aren't fighting the world alone. Let's talk about the types of businesses they choose. You won't often see someone following this blueprint betting their entire life savings on a high-risk, crazy moonshot idea that has a 99% chance of failing. That's not how you build a treasury. Instead, they look for businesses with high profit margins and low competition. They want the boring businesses that make a lot of money without requiring them to be eyeball deep in work 24/7. Why? Because life is about balance. If you're so busy running your business that you don't have time to study, spend time with your family, or connect with your faith, then the business is actually a trap. The goal is to find an industry where you can make a killing but still have your head left for higher pursuits. They aren't trying to be the most stressed out person in the room. They're trying to be the most strategic. It's about working smarter, not just harder, so you can enjoy the wealth you're actually creating. There's a huge misconception out there, mostly fueled by old stereotypes, that you have to be shady to get ahead in business. But the 3,000-year-old blueprint says the exact opposite. One of the core commandments is, "Thou shalt not steal." And they take it to a whole different level. It's not just about not robbing a bank, it's about being scrupulously honest in every single deal. They believe there's an eye that sees and an ear that hears, meaning even if you could get away with a lie, you shouldn't do it because you're being recorded in a much bigger book than just your bank statement. This extra layer of honesty is actually a massive competitive advantage. Think about it. If people know they can trust you with their eyes closed, they're going to want to do business with you for decades. You can't stay in business for thousands of years by being a liar. Longevity is built on a foundation of trust. When you're known as the most honest person in the room, the best deals naturally start flowing your way because people feel safe with you. We're about to dive into the most controversial part of this whole strategy, how giving money away actually makes you richer. It sounds like a paradox, but it's the ultimate wealth hack. But before we get there, I want to ask you, do you think it's easier to succeed by being a lone wolf or by building a tight-knit community like we discussed? Have you ever had a community help you out in business? Drop a comment below. Let's talk about something that sounds completely backwards if you're looking at a standard spreadsheet. In the Jewish tradition, there's a massive emphasis on tzedakah, which most people translate as charity, but it actually means justice or righteousness. The rule is simple. You take a tithe, or 10%, of what you earn, and you give it away to those in need or to your community. Now, if you're a strictly numbers person, you might think, wait, if I give away 10%, I have 10% less. How is that a strategy for success? But here's the secret. In this blueprint, giving isn't seen as an expense. It's seen as a seed. It's a way of signaling to the universe and to yourself that you have more than enough. When you hold on to every penny with a scarcity mindset, you're telling your brain that money is hard to get and easy to lose. But when you give freely and consistently, you're training your mind to live in a state of abundance. You become a conduit for wealth rather than a bucket. Water in a bucket gets stale, but water in a pipe, a conduit, stays fresh because it's always moving. By giving that 10%, you're keeping the flow open, and you'd be shocked at how much faster the money comes back to you when you aren't trying to hoard it. Think about this from a CEO's perspective. If you have two managers working for you and you give them both $1,000 for a project, you're going to watch what they do with it. Manager A keeps all the money for himself, buys a fancy chair, and doesn't help anyone else in the office. Manager B takes that $1,000, gets the job done, and then uses some of the extra to help the junior staff or improve the office environment. Who are you going to give $10,000 to next time? Exactly, Manager B. This is exactly how the Jewish community views their relationship with the divine. They believe that if God sends you a contract or a big win, and he sees that you are a good partner, meaning you use that wealth to take care of others and do good in the world, he's going to want to do more business with you. Why? Because the return on investment with you is better than with someone who just hoards the cash. You become a reliable partner in the grand scheme of things. So every time you give charity, you're essentially re-upping your contract for more blessings and more deals. One of the biggest things that stops people from succeeding in business is fear. The fear of, what if I lose it all? Or, what if there isn't enough for me? This fear makes you play small. It makes you hesitate when you should be taking action. But when you practice consistent generosity, you actually kill that fear. You're proving to yourself every single month that you can give money away and still be okay. This builds a muscle of confidence. It makes you bolder in your business dealings because you aren't desperate. And in business, the person who is the least desperate always has the most power in a negotiation. When you're generous, you move with a different kind of energy, a wealth energy. People can feel it. They want to be around it. They want to do deals with people who feel rich inside, even before the bank account hits 7 figures. This psychological shift is why the most successful people you know are often the ones who give the most away. They aren't giving because they're rich. They're rich because they give. We're getting close to the big one, the one principle that allows someone to risk everything on a new idea without losing a single night of sleep. It's the foundation of everything we've talked about so far. But first, I have to ask, have you ever noticed that the most successful people in your life are also the most generous? Or do you think you have to be stingy to get to the top? Let's debate this in the comments. Have you ever wondered why Jewish people are always at the forefront of new industries? Whether it's real estate, Hollywood, finance, or the latest tech startup, they always seem to be the first ones to dive in. What gives them that kind of courage? It's not that they don't feel fear, it's that they have a safety rope. This is the 10th and perhaps most important commandment: trust. In the Jewish tradition, you don't just hope things work out. You trust that you're not in this alone. Think of it like a mountain climber. Most people look at the cliff and see certain death if they fall, so they never climb. But the Jewish entrepreneur feels like they're wearing a high-tech harness connected to a safety rope held by the Creator. Even if they slip, they aren't going to hit the ground. This trust allows them to take the kind of calculated risks that make other people's knees shake. They can buy that property, sign that lease, or launch that product because they believe they have a partner in the heavens who wants them to succeed. A lot of people think trust is just something you feel while you're sitting on your couch. But in this blueprint, trust is a verb. It's an action. It's the foundation that allows you to hire your first employee even when you aren't 100% sure how you'll pay them next month. It's the green light that lets you invest in a new piece of technology or a new form of marketing. Because they trust in a higher power, they don't get paralyzed by what-ifs. And they don't spend months over-analyzing a deal until the opportunity is gone. They do their homework, they make sure the business is kosher, and then they leap. This ability to move fast and act decisively is a massive competitive advantage. While the rest of the world is waiting for the perfect moment, the person with trust is already halfway up the mountain. They understand that you don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Business is a roller coaster. Markets crash, industries change, and sometimes, despite your best efforts, a deal goes south. This is where most people quit. They lose their cool, they panic, and they make bad decisions based on fear. But when your success is built on a foundation of trust, you stay remarkably calm. If you believe that your wealth comes from a higher source and not just from your own cleverness, then a temporary setback doesn't feel like the end of the world. It's just a recalculation in the GPS. This calm energy is magnetic in the business world. Investors want to give money to the guy who stays cool under pressure. Employees want to work for the leader who doesn't panic when things get tough. By trusting in something bigger than themselves, they gain a psychological edge that keeps them in the game long after everyone else has packed up and gone home. We've reached the final stretch. In the next chapter, I'm going to wrap everything up and show you how to tie these 10 commandments together to start building your own personal treasury. But first, I want to know, what's the biggest leap you've been afraid to take in your business or career? Is it fear of failure holding you back, or do you feel like you're missing that safety rope? Tell me your story in the comments. Let's take a breath and look at the full picture we've painted today. We started with the no-blame rule, taking 100% responsibility for your future. We moved into aiming for abundance, not just survival, and the vital importance of teaching the next generation how to fish so they never have to steal. We talked about finding that kosher sweet spot, businesses that are clean, ethical, and highly profitable. and why working for yourself is the ultimate path to freedom. Then we looked at the power of community, choosing high-margin, low-risk ventures, and the cheat code of radical honesty. Finally, we explored the paradox of giving away 10% to get back more, and the rock-solid foundation of trust that allows you to take big leaps without fear. When you stack these 10 things on top of each other, success isn't just a possibility, it becomes an inevitability. It's not about being chosen or lucky. It's about being disciplined enough to follow a blueprint that has worked for thousands of years. You might be thinking, this is great, but I'm already in a business, or I'm stuck in a job. How do I use this? You start by Jewish-proofing your life. Look at your current situation through the lens of these commandments. Are you blaming your boss or the economy for your lack of growth? Stop today. Are you aiming for just enough to pay the bills? Change your benchmark to abundance. Are you being 100% honest in every deal, or are you cutting corners? Start being scrupulously honest and watch how your reputation begins to attract better people. Even if you're an employee right now, start thinking like an owner. Start looking for ways to provide kosher value. Maybe start a side hustle that follows these rules. High margin, low risk, and something you can be proud of. You don't have to change your whole life overnight, but you can change your direction today. Start that 10% charity habit now, even if it's only $10. It's the habit and the mindset shift that matters more than the amount. Success is a journey, and honestly, it's a lot more fun when you aren't doing it alone. The reason we created Solomon's Treasury is to build a community of people who want to apply this ancient wisdom to the modern world. We live in a time where everything feels fast, shallow, and disconnected. But the principles we talked about today are deep, slow, and incredibly connected. They remind us that business isn't just about numbers on a screen. It's about people, ethics, family, and a higher purpose. When you align your work with these values, you'll find that the money starts to take care of itself. You'll stop chasing success and start attracting it. You'll build a legacy that your children will be proud of, and you'll have the peace of mind that comes from knowing you built it the right way. So, take that leap. Trust the process. Build your treasury. If this video opened your eyes to a new way of looking at wealth and success, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button right now. It really helps the algorithm show this wisdom to more people who need it. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you can join our growing community here at Solomon's Treasury. We're going to be dropping deep dives like this every single week to keep you informed and keep us all getting wealthy together. Also, share this video with that one friend who has the hustle but needs the blueprint. And finally, leave a comment below with the word treasury if you made it to the very end. I want to know who the real ones are. God bless, take action, and I'll see you in the next one.